Hi, and welcome again to the Artificial Intelligence podcast with Dr. Ziggy. I'm Dr. Ziggy, and today's special guest is Father John Joseph, University Chaplain of the University of Tasmania, or at the University of Tasmania. Give us a quick introduction, who you are.
Well, thanks, Dr. Ziggy, for having me on the show. You got a drink there. You didn't offer me a drink.
Would you like a drink? I'll share it.
No, it's probably an Nescafe, isn't it?
Okay, question there. Is it sacrilegious for me to be drinking cheap wine in a mug in a chapel?
Well, we'll pretend we're not in the chapel of any kind.
Okay.
Aside from that, yeah, it's probably a diminishment of your human dignity.
Is it now? Yeah, wine shouldn't be drunk if you're not like, should it? No, that's good. And cheap wine at that. $16 for 5 litres, that's what I
think a good deal anyway.
Anyway, sorry, we've digressed already. Quick introduction, who you are, what's your background?
Yeah, so Father John Joseph Martin. I was raised in Western Australia, basically Fremantle. And I'm the cradle Catholic, so that means...
I thought you were going to say Freemason there.
Oh, okay. No, that's opposite side of the fence.
Yeah, that's right.
God bless him. But, born and raised as a Catholic, but the journey was to own it for myself, especially in a society which, probably even more so in the past, wasn't so favourable, especially as a teenager, if you're into religion, into Christianity, into Catholicism. And so that was the struggle to not be ashamed of what I actually believe.
Yeah.
And I always felt the call since I was about 11 odd, as we say. And when I was about 19, 20, basically jumped on that train and haven't looked back.
Yep.
So and it's been a great journey.
You became a religious brother and you wear quite uniquely a habit.
Yes, so...
Those that can't see, he's wearing, what colours are these?
It's burgundy and a black scapular, we call it. And often I get called Harry Potter in the streets.
It's funny, man.
So I just roll with it. Yeah. And I'm a Harry Potter fan in many ways, so it's not too bad.
Great books, yeah. Great books, yeah.
And...
it is, like, I hang out with you. I have been the last 2 weeks, and we've known each other for a good few years. But you do get people sort of doing a double glance at you and then whispering, and you know what they're saying. It's like, weirdo, what the hell, who the hell does he think he is, all that kind of stuff. You stick out like the sore thumb.
Yeah, in the end, you just hang in there. We're all going to die. and, it's the uniform of what you are. And so,
yeah. It's a uniform. That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
That's a very nice. I've never heard of that, actually. Yeah. Yeah, you're a soldier of God. That's one way of calling you, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's one way for sure.
Yeah. And then, ordained a priest not long ago either, right?
No, only a couple of years. So 2023. So I've been a brother for 10 years and then, a priest for two odd years now.
You're the second cleric I've had on this podcast. So you got a bit of a rival going on here. I hope that, your answers will be more beautiful, better. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, Father Alex Stirrup, I interviewed him episode 3 of the podcast. You are episode 5. So in between, I had Matt, the guy who works on my channel, with his talking about disability and AI. So I would like to once again talk to you about AI in the university setting and in your chaplaincy. So firstly, tell us what your chaplaincy entails. Like, okay, if you're a military chaplain, you can kind of understand what's going on, right? Like you've gone, your life's on the line. You want to get close to God. You want to somehow have a spiritual life as you're facing these dangers. What does being a university chaplain entail?
Yeah, so the purpose of chaplains, why the Catholic Church has chaplains, which canonically is a priest, is because in different domains, there's a need for the presence of the church. Especially otherwise secular domains. And so the normative position of a priest will be as a pastor, which is as a parish priest. But then you've got, say the military, and if you didn't have a priest intentionally put there, then there would be no priest there. And the risk of that from a Catholic belief would be, there's some who might have the faith, who would not be ministered to, who would otherwise miss out. And also just that role of being a presence, a leaven of Christ in the church in those spaces which otherwise would lack that. And so in the case of a university, well, there's a lot of hours spent at university, many years, and so it's an important place to have a chaplain.
Yeah.
And
I guess the spiritual realm flows over into all walks of life.
Exactly.
You need to look
hospitals, prisons,
family life, which is why you have the parish.
Exactly. So all domains of life. I believe that Christ is God become incarnate, and He sanctified all of human existence and life, and so it's proper to have His ministers out there in every domain of life. And it's a fairly unassuming role. Often a chaplain, it's more of a role of a presence.
Yeah.
And so it's a presence.
That's interesting, yeah.
It's a presence of the church in the university setting, which otherwise, especially if it's a non-Catholic university, it's got the presence of the church there. And
you're a symbol as well. I mean, with your habit, like I said.
Yeah, whether you want to or not.
Stick out like a sore thumb. So that would turn out as especially university where image is taken, is held in higher esteem than perhaps in adult life. We lose that. Yeah, we lose that kind of need to perform in front of our peers. But at university, that's very important. So that's a strong symbol. But yeah, so you look after the spiritual welfare of students. Now, if you're not a religious person, when I say spiritual welfare, I guess you could substitute that for psychological welfare. There is a kind of a overlap between psychology and spirituality. There is a kind of our soul needs assistance, and the psychology does affect.
Yeah, like I often say, I'm not a counsellor, but there's an aspect in which there is counselling aspect to the role, and so a chaplain is there for spiritual advising. People come with problems, and sometimes I'm feeding them back into the support structures in the university. If it's struggling with finances, job, rent's getting a bit much, or the study balance, then there's always that spiritual element to it.
Yeah. Trying to see God in the hardships and the trials and the joys as well. Yeah. And trying to, which, like I say, affects our psychology as well. So you get students coming up to you, talking to you.
Oh yeah, the university is we could say it's the battleground of ideas, but it's
that's true.
But it's also a place of ideas. We'll just use a more neutral term.
Yeah.
And, it's that time, especially when they're just coming out of high school, that's when people, young people are a bit more curious about new things, new ideas. They're just getting their teeth into these new topics, which they're discovering. And so you do end up having some interesting discussions with students on the philosophical side of things, the nature of the world, pretty often looking at the state of affairs in the world, and it's leading, some young people to actually consider the relevance and the beauty of religion in general, and particularly of Christianity and Catholicism.
Yeah. Okay. So on the topic of philosophy and ideas, do students come up to me? AI, huge the last few years. It's just blown up. I feel as though the hype is kind of dying down a little bit. There's always that cycle where people get caught up in the emotions and the imagination. It's so easy for our imaginations to run wild with this. We've been reading sci-fi for the last 100 years. And finally we have something that resembles what we've been reading, and it's so easy to just go, we're gonna go out into space and these robots and et cetera. But there's, it's been a massive topic. Like everyone on the street talks about. I sit in cafes every day to do work and whatnot, and you hear people talking about it all the time. Oh, you get AI to do this, or what do you think about AI, etc. So, do students come up to you and talk about this topic?
Well, it's featured in our discussions quite often, mainly sort of casually. Sort of run an evening university student / young adult event each Wednesday during semester, and some of the time I am using, for example, the AI assistance in the images that I'm using.
Yeah.
Just for and sometimes it's just
slide creation.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just to trigger them too, to see what
That's fun, yeah.
to react at. But I say it mostly comes up in my discussions with the staff.
Okay.
Because I find it interesting to keep asking them, well, how are you finding, life, as a lecturer, marking, with students with the use of AI, and you get the sense that, there's a lot of excessive use, shall we say.
Look, it's been, I don't want to use the word, it's been a disaster in some. I work at a university as well, as a lecturer, for those that don't know. And it's been a disaster in so many respects, because my job is to get students to develop holistically, is to get them to start thinking critically, is to develop their writing skills and their oral skills and their creative skills. And they're outsourcing all of that now. They're outsourcing it. And it's heartbreaking, because I want them to learn these skills rather than to outsource these skills. It's kind of like the image that I have at the moment in my head is like a rich person who doesn't know how to cook, doesn't know how to iron his clothes, because he has a servant do everything.
Yeah.
And then life happens and you don't know what to do. You don't know. And that to me is hard. And I'm trying to change things in my school, but it's very, very hard, because AI is everywhere. So what's your opinion on this? What's your take on this?
Yeah.
Is this the conversations that you have with teachers and students?
And yes, and a straight way that comes to mind is the use of AI by hanging around, some of the students in the younger demographic, and just seeing them use their phones and turning to ChatGPT, to ask questions in the midst of conversation even.
Yeah.
And just seeing an over-reliance there on using it to do, or as a source of answers. And for me, I suppose, my reflection is tying to that is that outsourcing. I often use that word too, that outsourcing. When it comes to not just the technical skill of writing and comprehending, but the actual process of thinking itself.
Yeah, the critical thinking.
To outsource that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've broken it down as like, you've got the receiving of information itself, and then you've got the comprehension side of it. And then on top of that, at a deeper level, you've got that sort of critical analysis of what you've comprehended. But even at that level of comprehension, it's getting outsourced from.
Yeah, it is, right? We're not learning to dig deep into subjects, because that takes time.
Yes.
It takes time and patience. And it's a skill that takes years to develop. And so easy, like you say, even in the middle of a conversation, instead of trying to work out a question, I don't know, what century was Napoleon active? Well, you could sort of think, okay, he came, you could ask ChatGPT, or you could sit there and try to work it out yourself. Right? Okay, he came definitely before World War I. He was involved in the French Revolution, therefore after 1789. He's got to sort of work it out, and that's a skill that you piece together, or you just go check, and you lose that ability. It's kind of a muscle that is so weak, or can be so weak in people if they don't. So then, do you think that affects people spiritually?
Well, before you mentioned that, another example came into my mind of the use of AI. And in this case, using it as a kind of spiritual director.
Yeah.
And this actually, out of all the uses I've seen as a priest, that was the one that was the most troubling,
So you're saying that students are using it as a spiritual director?
Well, at least one instance, and of course, where
There's more.
there's more.
Wow.
So
Wow.
the example in question was simply asking, based on their own experiences that they've had, they were feeding into, just say the AI, because by that could be any platform they're using. It's probably ChatGPT for that. They were prompting the experiences they had and asking the AI in the mode of a sort of spiritual advisor, like, what does this mean for me? And they were actually seeking like an action to undertake.
Yeah.
Now that action in this case was sort of related to vocation. So in other words, like a big life decision, like life direction. And they were sort of feeding in, say they've had, this experience A, this experience B, this experience C. And I've stumbled across text, D, what does this all mean?
So they're asking the AI to discern religious life for them, or some kind of life.
They're outsourcing, in a sense, discernment itself.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gobsmacked. Okay, so I know that AI companions are an issue. I was going to talk to you about this. I haven't come across it firsthand, but secondhand, definitely, where I've heard of people getting addicted to talking to AI companions. But this is also like, how can you, like, AI, I can't fathom that. Like, AI is a lifeless machine, right? It's an algorithm.
Yeah.
It's an algorithm. How can you outsource like a life decision like that? I can see it. I use sometimes AI to bounce ideas off. Like if I need ideas for a skit I'm writing for my channel, I give it like a skeleton, some ideas, maybe the whole skit itself, and I just ask it to maybe, have you got any things I could put in, any kind of extra fluff and things like that. And it's great for that. But wow, yeah. Okay, so what's the problem? As in, why is this happening? I guess it's okay to say that it's morally disordered to seek companionship with a machine, with AI. Why is that happening in society with young people, especially? What do you think is the cause of this? Or is it just a whole heap of issues that are just piling on top and people are escaping into this? Because it's so easy, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy. If I talk to a person, there's a reciprocity here that I have responsibility. I have to listen. I have to, be attentive to the needs of this other person as well as vice versa. As with a machine, it's just one way, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's more to it, sure.
Yes. I mean, and some of the things that we'll say on this topic by no means be original to ourselves. But one thing that comes to mind is you could call the cult of the pet.
Okay.
And
yeah, this is good. I like this. Okay.
And in that is, I remember this chap was staying with us once, and he went for a walk on the beach, and it was a sensitive soul, and he liked his own space. He's had a troubled background, and then someone's dog was off the leash, and it was a big dog, and sort of leapt on him. And it might have been like a German Shepherd or something.
Yeah, that's scary.
And he had quite a phobia of dogs too.
Yeah.
And the owner, as he came past, was sort of laughing and expecting, this gentleman to sort of, I don't know, experience it as a sort of a blessing from heaven, this canine pouring himself upon him.
Yeah.
But when he came back, this chap, and he shared how he was stirred by that, and he mentioned how he found it. He was angered by the lack of concern for him as a human being compared to like the pet in question. Dogs are lovely creatures, but a human being is also a human being, and I guess that ties into this disordered sense of projecting, human nature onto our pets.
Yeah.
And seeking from them the affection. We hear the phrase now, there's no judgment on anyone who doesn't choose as a couple to have children, of course. But if they opt just to have pets, and then there can be something a bit off when it's basically loving the pet as a human being. Not in accord with its nature, not loving it in accord as a dog or as a cat or as a fish. And I guess that would tie into, on a similar trajectory and analogously with why people find AI a source of, companion, because like a dog, it doesn't talk back.
Yeah.
It's just it's like pure love in its, in its own doggy way sort of thing. It's just pure attention, tail wagging.
Yeah. There's no misbehaving.
And even if it is, it's, there's no
egregious.
Doesn't run his mouth at you.
Yeah.
There's no, you've been selfish, you haven't been looking after me, or envy.
Yeah.
The dog may feel, some kind of envy over some other dog, but so all those negative feelings, aren't there to be stirred up by, this little creature that's, in a sense, all goodness towards you. Whereas, as you alluded to there, it's harder with real people.
Yeah.
And social anxiety, that's certainly on the rise. And I've seen that amongst students. And it's quite acute sometimes. And it's a sort of new thing to me. It's a sort of been a bit of an awakening to see actually how much social anxiety is out there and the effect that it does have on people not able to attend things where they are there, having to leave the room.
Yeah.
Just because it's a new space.
Yeah, right.
New space for them.
That's crazy. Yeah, wow.
And it reminds me of that movie with Bruce Willis, The Surrogate, is it?
Ooh.
And everyone stays in their own bedroom, but they've got that surrogate sort of AI driven, well actually they're powering it themselves, but it's a robot.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one.
It's a robot that they, can control in the real world, customized, but they stay at home, in the armchair.
Yeah, okay.
Glued up. And I guess that's sort of similar.
Social anxiety, I didn't think about that. What comes to mind now is the fact that kids are brought up with screens, and that's how they find their entertainment, rather than, when I was a kid, I used to go out and play football and cricket, and I had to socialise to have fun. Otherwise, I'd be absolutely bored. And you learn the social skills. Whereas now, I think this is another thing, is that technology is such an easy option, and it's so entertaining, so addictive, that people are learning to maneuver and operate in the virtual world rather than the real world, and they feel more comfortable in the virtual world. So that's definitely something. Yeah. But that's the technical term, anthropomorphizing dogs and anthropomorphizing AI. That's next level. I think, well, maybe not dogs, because dogs are alive. Dogs are living, and it's easy to get attached to dogs, and it's fine. We all love our pets, especially if you're lonely. But anthropomorphizing machines, software, it's software. It's software running on a computer. It's just it's really, really good software.
A calculator with words.
Yes, that's one way of putting it. Yeah, I mean, it is a calculator. It's doing billions and trillions of calculations, or even more than that, per second, to work out what the next word needs to be. That's what it is, a calculator. Anthropomorphizing. That's next level for me. That's yeah. So it's in fact, this is interesting. I just read this today, in China. And China's interesting when it comes to putting guardrails for their population when it comes to technology. You've heard about, guardrails for kids and computer games. There's a time limit every day that they're allowed to play. Some games have been banned. But China has put out a draft for guardrails for AI companions in the aged care sector. which is another topic in itself, because that's where a lot of loneliness happens as well, and people can't go out and socialize as much as they could. And I haven't heard any cases, but it's possible that AI, that is also a problem with getting, they call it AI psychosis, where you overindulge with an AI companion, anthropomorphize, etc. But some of the guidelines that they've put in this draft document is mandating that AI companies, if someone is talking to an AI companion for hours, that every 2 hours, the AI companion has to send out a message that's saying, I am not alive, I am a machine, and a little warning every 2 hours, something like this. I can't remember the other stuff that they had put in. I skimmed read the article today, but if China's doing this kind of stuff, then it's quite, like, to me, that's mind-boggling that something like that can happen. But I was raised in a different time, completely different time. In fact, I'm grateful that I wasn't raised in this time, because I would have become like addicted to all the social media and all this stuff.
Yes.
I'm a much too weak creature. At least when I was a child, I wouldn't have withstood the big tech manipulation that happens, the psychological games that they play with social media to grab and keep your attention. Crazy. So what can universities do to help with this problem of overindulgence in tech and overindulgence with AI? It's their job to ensure, at least it used to be, nowadays it's like a business, right? But back in the day, the university's job, and everyone, and schools as well, everyone knew that your job is to give you a holistic education, right? So I teach computer science, and I remember I was given out essays to write in my class, and this is for artificial intelligence, for the topic. I teach coding, I teach databases, all these kinds of things, and the students complained to me once saying that we don't want to write essays. We will never write essays in the real world. We will code. And how do you explain to a student that is an actual necessity? That's a skill that needs to be taught. It's like you hear adults sometimes complain that they were taught maths in school, in primary school and high school, and they don't use mathematics anymore. They don't use algebra, they don't use calculus. It's not about knowing the algebra and the calculus. It's about rewiring the brain to be able to think in a mathematical deductive way, so that you can take those skills, if X and Y and then X plus 1, and you can piece these together. You can take that skill and use it in your life. If this is happening and this is happening, then I can do this, and I can keep all these variables and parameters in my head and function better as a human being. So what do you think AI can do to help these students, especially in the spiritual, psychological realm, where these big issues are happening? I mean, AI companions is crazy to me.
Yeah, well, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
Big question. Yeah, the other day I was reading Community magazine, and there was an article in there by, it might have been someone Gibbons, but he mentioned about the purpose of education as formation in virtuous dispositions.
Say it again.
So as formation in virtuous dispositions. Okay. And in a sense, I guess there's a certain humility there from the level of educator, because it's not like you're causing virtue, but your formation in dispositions of virtue, which, to scale the word back in its root meaning, is sort of excellences. So it's just formation in we'd say healthy habits, good habits, like habits in thinking, habits of living, relating. So all these things to be borne in mind. How is this going to affect the formation of us and the students, be it primary, secondary or tertiary level? How's our use of AI going to affect positively or negatively the formation of the human person and their habits And are those habits in question disposing towards, virtue, in this case, character building, someone who's a wholesome person, grounded, able to relate, understand, empathize, comprehend, or the other, someone who it's a sort of a shortcut mentality that sort of flounders with things thrown their way and has to find coping mechanism in whatever can be supplied from like outsourcing. If an essay comes on its way and one hasn't got the capacity to write an essay, well, one is going to be crawling to the, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So that would be my hope would be, I don't think we should throw it in the bin.
No.
The use of
AI is here, and we need to learn to use it.
Exactly.
And we live in a world where we have to make a living, and the economy runs on productivity and efficiency. And this tool is extremely productive and extremely efficient, and it's here to stay, firstly. But secondly, I love it, and I don't want it to go away. But we have to be aware of, like you're saying, what's being taken away from us, and counteract that. So what can universities do to help counteract this? And I don't know, show these students, firstly, help them psychologically or spiritually to deal with life and not get addicted.
And I think probably the most fundamental thing a university could do is simply to encourage and allow to be present and grow is those wellbeing services in general, counselling, psychology, but often those are the things people are turning to when there's already problems in place.
Yeah.
See, that's the difference. Where the difference with like chaplaincy, for example, is, of course we've all got problems, but it's before that even. It's about meaning. It's about recovering meaning and gaining a sense of meaning existentially within a grounded human tradition, for example, and a faith tradition, a sense of history, all these things, but wrapped up into a sense of belief in God and the significance that can have. And I suppose allowing that to be there on university campus is just a reminder and a prompt for students that, hang on, what really matters?
Yeah.
What really matters here? It's not just about even getting the degree, which, sometimes universities they're structured like that. It's about cranking out that degree or getting enrollments. And there's an element of the university that has to be geared towards that. That's the nature of the beast. But then those wellbeing services, they are there for the persons and the people.
Yeah.
And then the chaplaincy in particularly is there for the person, in their meaning and integration into society,
the dignity,
into church. Yeah. So all these things. And I'd say that is probably, the biggest thing that could be done because,
that's good. Yeah, I like that. I never thought of it that way, that chaplaincy can counteract the tech-minded world by grounding people in something deeper, right? Something deeper than efficiency, accuracy, productivity.
Yeah, those values. That's interesting. Yeah, those industrial values.
Yes.
It's showing the face.
Yeah, because that's what we're measured by now, right? We're measured by productivity. Yeah. We're measured by, we are machines.
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest risk, perhaps, of artificial intelligence and our use of it, is because it plays by those rules, and that's the virtues of AI.
Yeah.
Efficiency, productivity. Accuracy.
Yeah.
And we can start to depreciate our own, intellectual capacity, our own dignity.
Yeah. Because then if you are not efficient, you are not productive, for whatever reasons, you lack the talent or you have a disability or things like this, then today's world automatically looks down on you And if you don't have that grounding in a more profound meaning, you're going to be like an outdated Pentium 133 PC, right? Or a Commodore 64 or an Atari. That's completely useless now, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
Because there's something grander and bigger in the whole scheme of things. Mm.
Another thing that comes to mind is encouraging spaces for dialogue. And by that I mean having forums, like the podcast type forum, in-person lectures. I think they should really encourage them.
I'm a big proponent of in-person lectures. I refuse to do online lectures anymore. Like, we are so saturated with screens that, like, we've talked about this, like with social anxiety and everything like this. People crave the human, even if they don't realize it, they do today. They do this. So they need to just talk to someone face to face. I don't do online class unless I really have to. But I specifically say no more. It's in person. Yeah. But anyway, go on.
Yeah. I mean, that's quite the stance though. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've gotten to that stance of the line of the sand.
Yeah. No, I don't do it. Yeah.
Don't
do it.
And I can understand, because coming from the other angle, I had to do a lot of my studies in the latter period online. And so, and without that, probably wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, there is.
So there's,
obviously. But there's a balance.
and
but if you can do it in person, I draw the line and I say no. As easy as it can be for me to make myself a cup of coffee, put on a nice shirt at the top, but keep my PJs down the bottom and just teach for an hour and then turn my computer off and go and do my own stuff in my own house. As easy and comfortable as that is, there's more important things at stake.
Because efficiency isn't the highest good.
Yeah.
Isn't the highest good.
Yeah.
And that sort of exacerbates the truth of that.
Mm.
Yeah, and I had a mind blank on
I interrupted your flow. I'm going to have my cheap wine while you try to piece together your thoughts. It is a beautiful chapel. I was a bit sad that we couldn't get the whole stained glass window. We don't see stained glass windows nowadays in churches, do we? Not in the new ones anyway. It's kind of
no.
And this is a beautiful. What year was this chapel / church?
Oh, this here was built 1940, certainly 1940s, and possibly even during or just after the Second World War.
Yeah, okay. When they still cared about beauty in architecture.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
then the 70s came.
Actually, I was watching a few things on that recently about, interior design, furniture, and the evolution of what people have called sort of bland design.
Yeah.
Architecture, furniture.
Yeah.
Just household appliances, all these things.
Yeah, there's all these schools, industrial architecture, and I can't remember the names of all the things. But anyway, you go on. Yeah, I interrupted you again. You're gonna lose your train.
No, but I think these, like, our experience with, like, for example, bland architecture, bland, industrially produced goods. Although in the early Industrial Revolution, things were still intricate. So it's not like it has to go together.
They cared about beauty still. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's not like it's because things are industrially produced and mass produced, they have to be so, uniform and bland and such.
Yeah.
But I guess our experience with these things will cause a sort of nausea and wearisomeness with the world as it is. Like, we're all going to die. And our experiencing, all that the cocktail of this world has to offer, in a sense, you drink that dry, you're thirsty for more. Yeah. And it's obviously not here in the normal sense of the word. Obviously, it's not in the body itself, in the mind itself. It's obviously, relationships get close, because that's something which, people value irrespective of everything else at the end of their life. But then even more than that, I suppose, this sense of, is there something more, a creator, a relationship, and a relationship with him.
A creator and a relationship with him. And the thing is that if you do create real beauty, none of this modern garbage, it can point to that, because you start to see scales of a hierarchy of beauty, right? This is beautiful, and this is more beautiful, this is more beautiful. This absolutely cut through to my soul because it's so beautiful. And then it kind of leads you to the supreme beauty. Whereas if you're surrounded by blandness, then now that's angst of the soul. That's you're going to get existential. And then you're going to have AI companions. I mean, it's...
Yeah, this experiment will keep running its course, short of an asteroid coming and changing the pace of things.
Yeah.
But we probably will get there where, AI companions...
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, AI companions will become normative. But the silver lining is, human nature can't be changed.
No.
Human being can't be changed, and it will become nauseous and sick of that.
Yeah.
And it will just, come crawling back, seeking something more.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree there. You use AI, don't you? A lot. Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah. Sometimes more or less, but certainly use it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I use it heaps. I couldn't imagine a world without it now. I mean, I'm 3, 4, 5 times more productive than I used to be. I can churn out stuff now. Yeah. I'm taking on more projects now because I know that I can handle more projects. It's great. I wouldn't want to live in any other time in history. I wouldn't. It's great. But we have to counter what's been taken away from us. I think it was Martin Heidegger, the philosopher, that said, it's not a neutral object thing, technology. It's not morally neutral. It changes things, and therefore it's for the bad or for the good. And we have to work out where it's taking things away, like human contact, and counteract. I spoke about this with my disabled buddy in the previous episode, where we have to go out and make an effort now to socialize to counteract all this screen time and AI time and everything there. Do you use AI to write your sermons, or at least guide you in your sermons? Am I allowed to ask you this question?
Yeah, ask away. I've got no guilt there. Conscience is clean.
Yeah.
But, there's certain areas of certain domains of my life and work that I won't use AI.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tend not to use AI basically at all in the preparation of a sermon or a homily.
Mm-hmm.
For those who aren't as aware, the liturgy of the church being, as we deemed, a spiritual prayer, an act that we do towards God and God towards us. And there's respect that's owed, in my case, to God, to the ministry in question entrusted to me, and then to the people. Outsourcing a homily to artificial intelligence would be sacrilegious in my view. Now,
that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't think outlines, using it as a tool to bounce things off, just like you'd use Google, in a slightly different, would be bad in itself. I tend just to stay away.
Yeah, I understand that. But what if, for example, you were to have a mental blank and AI wrote you a pretty good sermon? You think, let's say, for argument's sake, an excellent sermon.
Yeah. Oh, I've read an excellent sermon.
Yeah.
Because when it first came out, the fourth generation, I only accessed that point to probably the second generation. But still, it churned out a decent homily. I thought, let's just see how it goes. And, technically, yes. But it's on the level of, even if I was to give a technically worse homily,
it's yours.
It's mine, and I've been personally responsible, obedient, faithful. I like the word responsive to the role that I'm given, to the people, and it gives a bit of room, if we say, for the Spirit.
Yeah.
And so even if I have a mind blank, I'll just see that as, well, I'm just going to roll with that.
Yeah.
And if something breaks through, usually it always does break through, even if it's, once you open your mouth.
Yeah. The way that I would see it, I kind of think if I saw AI write an excellent sermon, I think that's too good to throw away. If I make that my own, if I internalize it, assimilate it, and then speak from the soul and believe it and speak from the soul, and I can kind of, I spoke with Father Oleg, episode 3 of this podcast, about this, and I think if you make this your own and you live and breathe it, then it becomes your own in a significant way. And then I would also say, don't read it, speak it from the heart. So have the outline in your head, and then just speak it out. And I think I would be okay with that personally. So
yeah, I suppose this is your question. I don't see anything wrong per se with it, but I suppose I would worry if that became the habit.
Yeah.
And then even as a once-off, it's almost like, is there really any need for it? I mean, 2,000 years have gone by where we managed without it. It seems like a bit of a cop-out. For a homily anyhow.
Yeah.
For a homily.
That's interesting though, isn't it? Because, and then there's the other thing that I'm big into with this channel of mine is the idea of handmade. Something now that we always cherish something that's handmade.
Yeah.
And now we've come into the realm of handmade text, handmade images. And if my homily is handmade, that has some kind of an inherent value to it now. Yeah, I never thought about that too. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
And for us, it is the liturgy. So compared to, say, for example, giving a talk on a subject, I'll say that's a different ball game there.
Yeah.
Because for us, the liturgy is such a sacred thing, I'd be sort of, being the extra cautious. And in a sense, the liturgy itself, from the Catholic point of view, is a model for like our human dignity and God's. It sort of showcases the heights and the depths, because we begin the liturgy with repenting of our sins. But then the heights, in fact, we believe, the bread and the wine, it turns into, Christ himself, who's God and human, the God-man combined. So our human dignity is being showcased, we repent, we're sinners, and then we're exalting human nature as united with God. And so if that's the liturgy...
That's good theology.
Yeah, so it forms us and models for us what it means to be human too. And so if there's this sort of allergic reaction, which is across the board generally, with the use of artificial intelligence to write homilies, which is it's the one part of the liturgy which, the priest or the deacon is actually crafting. So he's actually personally crafting, a speech.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, it's a speech, call we will, for this, this drama, this performance, this event, this sacred performance in the most wholesome sense.
That's very good. And
if that's the case, if that's all, AI there, I'm not so sure, then it's probably a good indicator that, of course, on the premise of the truth of all the,
that's really interesting. This is, my, love in the area of interest in theology of technology.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's really good. I never thought of it, that way. The other thing I was thinking as you were talking now is that the priest also performs some kind of a reflection as he's trying to form a sermon himself, as he's reflecting and meditating on the Bible and the gospel and trying to think how that speaks to him and how that relates to his life, and then how if that relates to that way in that life, it probably relates to other people, and that you lose that process that forms you as well, that changes you.
And that's the key thing. I think you hit on something very significant there. The process itself, I always hate that saying just because it says so much about, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Well, obviously the destination matters, otherwise we wouldn't go on a journey in the first place. And who wants to be on a journey forever? I mean, that's very tedious. But the journey does matter.
Yeah.
And in that process of, for example, crafting or writing a homily, and analogously, of course, we can think of, writing a piece of literature or even an essay. There's an interior formation and development taking place in there, and so you're being edified, you're being illumined, you're experiencing, in this case, the substance of the message, and the blessings, in our cases, the graces, that your homily is supposed to be a medium for. If you sort of outsource it, it's like you've got the technical aspect there, but you have cut off some of that.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
Some of that process. And the role of prayer goes out the window. And it's interesting how that's the one thing where prayer and AI, it's just never going to work. It doesn't work. Like you can use AI to produce text upon which you can use as sort of chewing fodder for prayer, but you can't outsource your prayer.
No.
So we can outsource so many things, even the writing of a homily, technically speaking. A book, it's not there yet, but I think it'll get to the point where it could write a whole decent book if you...
Yeah, it could easily,
yeah.
Easily now, yeah.
And
I wouldn't say it's decent, but...
Yeah, and art. And, it's a matter of time until it gets even better at art.
Yeah.
But yeah, prayer is one of those things, and relationship.
Yeah.
Human relationship.
Because there's as we Christians believe, there's the immaterial realm, the realm that you can't measure and put into data form and then train an AI to operate in that realm. It can imitate it. It can imitate prayer. It can imitate like it's praying, but it's not really right. There's a completely different realm that the soul, our human soul, resides in. That machines just don't have access to, and that realm is, that kind of defines us, right? That separates us from everything else in this world. Yeah. But theology of technology is great. I've got a question for you. We'll end this question. Theology of technology. Do you think it's okay for a priest to read his mass, so missal as we call it, from an electronic device?
Now, I've got to watch what I say here.
Okay.
In case the Vatican has official norms on this.
Oh, right. I didn't know. Yeah, I wasn't.
And then
I'm thinking theological. Like, can you get to that answer? And like you did with the homily writing.
Yeah.
And can you get to an answer that you think is theologically derived?
Yeah. There's a sort of an inchoate notion that I've come to over the years. There's something about what we might call it like a sacramental proximity or something. Like the more natural a thing is, the closer it is to the creator.
Yeah.
Just like, if you had an artist and then they were to do a painting and they were also to do a photograph and they were also to, do something else.
Yeah. Then print out that photograph.
Yeah. It'd be like this step of removal.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, on the sort of intuitive level, we look at the use of, like an iPad or something for the missal, and it's just deemed as tacky.
Yeah.
So I think that actually touches on something that's deeper than just, that's tacky or tasteless.
There is a deeper, I agree with you.
And there's the pages there, and there's also the fact that device can be used for other things too.
Exactly.
So it's not, in our sense, like, something that's holy. is something that's otherly. In other words, it's consecrated for a special purpose, something that's holy.
Yeah.
And so like a book, a missal, which is the text of the mass parts in, or the lectionary or the book of the Gospels, it's just that. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And in a sense, it showcases the significance of those things alone. Whereas the iPad is this sort of plastic, quite literally, but a plastic sort of, entity, and that's just one of many things it could do.
Yeah. Good.
And so the sign that it gives off is a bit off, but here again, a little exception, running in the bush.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're saying a mass, you can grab that phone or iPad.
If that's
because you try and carry a 1 kilo book.
No, if that's all you got, yeah, I'm happy with it. But if you have a choice,
oh yeah, when you got what you need, nah,
yeah,
I don't like. And I'm not a big fan of being used even for hobbly notes as well. Not as big fan, but I don't think it matters as much.
Yeah,
I don't think it matters as much.
Yeah, dot points as you.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I don't think it matters, but it's just a personal thing.
Yeah, good. I agree with you. Therefore,
oh well, I mean,
you're a good guest.
The Ziggy mark of approval.
Cool.
You give me a coffee, but no,
I'll give you some cheap wine.
In the end, you made up for it by giving me your ticket.
I'll give you a cheap wine after.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's wine.
It's cheap.
I kept forgetting about that.
I have to ask you to absolve me of my sin of drinking cheap wine in a mug in a beautiful chapel.
Well, we're not really in a chapel. We're in a side room.
It's a side room, is it?
Yeah.
It's it's the history of the Josephite sisters here in this beautiful town, Tasmanian town of Cygnet. 1896 they first came here. And this building dates back to the building next door where you live, 1907.
Yeah.
For Australia, that's very old.
It is. For Australia.
For Australia, that's very old. All right. Well, anyway, I think we'll end it on that. Thank you very much for this. It was great. I had a lot of fun for this great conversation. Please absolve me of my sin of drinking cheap wine while I'm talking to you. And thanks, guys, for listening, and stay tuned for more.